Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Review, where the monetization doesn't matter and the people are in our hearts. Now, let's get on to another episode. I believe in our last episode, we started episode 1 of a certain series based on, let's just say, erotic Disneyland, and then finished off our last episode of the Harem series. But let's take a break from series and get into episode 1 of another, so that we may come back to finish our erotic Disneyland. So, today's episode is going to be about Seikatsu Shuukan, episode 1. Done by Pink Pineapple, with 27 minutes and 30 seconds of length with 19 categories, the notable categories being Reverse Grape, Comedy, and Harem. Mainly focused on a bit of a convoluted plot that really gets unraveled at the second episode, but let's continue on with the first before we start diving into the deep end. Now, the scene starts with a big brother playing in a erotic game, and getting caught by his little sister, a red-haired figure, of which there are 3, blonde, brown, and red. Red being the one being showed up. His sister then, his sister fetish is relevant as he starts his computer after seeing a weird pop-up show up, of asking him for a free trial of something, of which he denounced and then continues forward. He then wakes up the next day as a much younger version of himself. Let's just say he's still the same age, but this is 100% legal. We are not getting in trouble. The considering of this is his same sisters barge into his door, hearing the commotion, and decide to see what's going on. They see somebody they don't recognize in his room. So he then passes it off as, I'm a friend of your brother's coming over for Golden Week. Which is a little weird if somebody's a friend of your brother and they're much younger than, it's a little weird. Alright. Then, afterwards, the red-haired sister gets a little attached immediately. Poor judgment on her side because she just jumps right on it like it's nothing. They continue to spend a little bit of time together as if they're friends, and they then eat together, make a mess, and then naturally the sister decides, hey, why don't we clean you up? Takes him over to a shower, and which case scene 1 commences. It's a little strange. And at the beginning of 6 minutes and 20 seconds in, going to 8 minutes and 10 seconds for a brief pause, and then going all the way to 15 minutes and 20 seconds. Holy shit, it took up 9 minutes for just this scene. Wow. She then gets him cleaned up, and so what the fuck is going on with my mask right now? Oh. She gets him cleaned up, and they start to go out. Let's get a little bit readjusted here. Okay. She then gets him cleaned up, and they start to go out for a little bit, until the until the blonde sister comes in after the other 2 have decided to leave for school. Well, she then starts to show off how gross she is, and let's just say he finds another potential person to be with. With lewd flashbacks appear of what she says she's been doing, and it gets moving a little bit. Scene 2 starts at 17 minutes and goes to 25 minutes. And it's with a brief interlude between going to 25 minutes and 30 seconds and then going all the way to the very end of the series. In which case it leaves off on a little bit of a cliffhanger of the one sister that wasn't noticed, the brown-haired one, on whispering the phrase, Onee-chan, as a clock starts to dip down further and further. A little strange. But also leads into the second episode, which we will get to in a few days. Anyways, alright, let's go ahead and break this down. The animation. It's quick and decent, but with no noticeable flaws. Although there is one thing that I'd like to point out. Very thin line work is done in this series. Almost giving it the same look as a particularly well done episode of, let's say, a Studio Trigger anime. Hey, very, very reminiscent of it. Not as fluid, but also very nice. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10 for something that they're working with barely a budget on this. The characters. They're distinct and varied in what they are, with all of them having certain personalities, even if that is horny big brother, other tsundere redhead, and slutty blonde girl. I don't know. And kundere brown-haired chick, but I digress. Then, what you're all here for, plot. The plot is long as fuck when it shows up. Oh my god, it goes on for so long. And I gotta say, what's there is done well. It's done well. Well, it falls into the category of Western sort of tropes where, oh no, what are you doing, stepbrother? That sort of thing. But with a little bit less, they don't know that it's their stepbrother. They just assume that it's a younger person and decided to go all over him. But it does it pretty well. There's a reason it's popular in America right now. I'm going to call it at a 9 out of 10, with an averaging score of 8, 8, and 9, and brought together to give it an overall score of good, but definitely not for everybody. But for the people it is good for, I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10, and with a slight percentage upwards, but not enough to raise it to where you would have to round up. I would definitely recommend it to people who are into the tags that are inside of it, but of course, not everybody will be into this. Yes. Now for the closing remarks of this episode, yes, they are going to be a little bit shorter because I do have to get these out pretty quickly, given that I've got time. I've got time to do a lot of other things. That doesn't mean I'll skip on a lot of the details, I just am going to be doing them a little bit faster. So, in conclusion, be nice to each other, wash your hands, don't be a dick, there's too many of them. Have a nice day. I have been the doctor, and I'll see my patients later. Peace.